This is the Everything Goes podcast here
And
with
right
T and K.
now, everything is going wrong.
I don't know. We're having a little bit of drama here today. This is like episode 22, 23, but we got an interview on today. It's gonna be a good time, guys. So just let that beat hit you hard, and we'll have a good time.
Been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, joining us on the phone today, we have American Ninja Warrior Logan Kreglow, and we're going to be asking a few questions today about his great story.
Yeah, he's homegrown from Whitehall, so we're excited to get some information about how it's been and what's going on in Kreglow's life.
So we got to ask Logan, take us back for those who don't know about the crazy leg injury you had against Parkland your football year at Whitehall.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was about 6 or 7 years ago now. It was my senior year. I was a three-sport athlete at Whitehall, and this was football season, obviously my senior year, and it was the last game of the regular season against Parkland, which was a big rivalry, obviously, as you know.
Yeah.
And it was at Parkland Stadium, and it was going to be a tough game. It had like playoff contentions on both sides. Had we won, we would have gotten like one of the top seeds in the playoffs, and vice versa for them. So it was a big game, obviously pressure on, and the defensive back core for Parkland was one of their weaker areas. So that was something we were going to try to exploit. So as a wide receiver, I think like 3 of the first 5 plays ended up going to me. So it's going to be a big part of the game plan. And then on play number 5, it was a rollout to the left-hand side. I was out wide, ran a comeback route, looking to get a first down. And Shafniski threw the ball a little high. I went up and caught it. And then when I came down, it was just kind of an awkward landing. It all happened real fast, but my leg was locked out straight. And so my cleats kind of stuck in the ground, and the defender was tackling me from behind. So I had the weight of him kind of rolling over me. I'm coming down off a jump. And just the way that I kind of got tucked over, and because my foot stuck in the ground, it didn't really give at all, and my knee buckled backwards, like a full hyperextension. It was a nasty looking injury. It was, we recorded all the games in high school, so for the next weeks, basically in school, everyone was pulling it up in their classes and saying, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And you'll see my teammates in the footage who will come up to, when your teammate gets tackled, you go to help pick them up, and they run over to me and just see the direction in which my leg is pointing, and just like back away and like in shock and all, just oh my God, and not knowing what to do. So needless to say, it was definitely one of the most painful things the most painful thing I've ever gone through.
I gotta tell you something.
Even describe.
I gotta tell you something, Logan. I myself will never ever yell at the TV screen again when a football player gets injured, because last year the Cowboys, when they played in that playoff game and Alan Hearns' foot was facing towards the top of the dome.
You know what? I didn't see that play, but I wasn't watching that game. I came into work the next day, and a couple of the guys who had known that I had a bad leg injury, they're like, "Oh my God, did you see that guy?"
Yeah, it was bad.
And yeah, when you see something like that, man, it kind of changes you. You're like, "Whoa."
I was all caught in the emotion. I'm like, "Yo, get up, man! You haven't played all year. You haven't caught any passes." And then I realized his foot was facing the wrong way, and I'm like,
the other direction.
Oh my God!
Now I got to ask, when this play happened, was there any point in time where you looked down and you saw the way your leg looked?
Oh, absolutely. It was immediately, basically. So I caught the ball. It was right at the boundary. So I caught it 2 feet in. I got rolled over on, and then kind of lost the ball as I rolled over, but the catch was complete already, So I felt it in my immediately. So then I rolled over. I'm laying on my back. I got one hand on my quad, the other hand on my calf, and it is in 2 different spots.
Wow.
If you know what I'm saying. Like the from the knee down, my knee was, basically 2 o'clock to the side and like 30 degrees hyperextended. Man. And it like panic set in, and I go to try to basically push it back into place, and it just was locked there. It was like stiff. And screaming pain, and then I lay back down, and next thing I know, the trainer was right there.
No,
he goes, lay down, but don't look at it.
Do you think that the trainers at the school are actually capable of handling an injury like that? I mean,
Sean's pretty good.
Sean is good.
Yeah, go ahead. What'd you say?
No, I was gonna say Sean was always pretty good at Whitehall.
Oh, absolutely. He like I'm so thankful to have had him there, but the level of injury that was, I mean, even some doctors wouldn't really be equipped to kind of know how to pop that back into place and what to do. So the average high school trainer, I would say would not really know what to do, basically call for an ambulance and try to get me to a hospital.
So you basically tore everything in your knee, correct?
Right. And just one other quick thing on that, though, the team doctor for Parkland, because, at every football game, whatever the home team is, has a team doctor. Dr. Palumbo, his name was, and he was the trainer for the women's Olympic soccer team at one point.
Oh, wow.
He was a second opinion doctor for the NFL, like a renowned guy. Actually went to Cornell as well, which was like a funny coincidence because that's where I was looking to go at the time. And had he not been there and put my knee back into place on the field, it took him about 30 minutes to do. It might have been a different story. I might have had to lose my leg, actually.
That's crazy to think about that. You had a chance to actually lose that leg.
Yeah. Well, and then they told my parents that as I was in the hospital. They didn't share that bit of information with me until after they realized that they weren't going to have to. But there's a lot of major veins and arteries that go through the knee there, and when the two bones separate, if you tear one, it's very hard to repair a vein like that, and most often your leg will fill with blood, and they'll have to amputate.
Man, you definitely had someone looking out for you that day.
Didn't that just happen to the NFL tight end from Detroit? Or was it?
I was just
that
going to say
Chicago Bears.
The Bears, yes.
I want to say Zach Miller. Or something like
yeah.
That, right? Was his name?
Yeah, it was actually against my Saints. His knee bent backwards, and
he almost lost his leg.
Yep.
So if you've seen that injury, that is exactly what happened to my leg.
Oh my God!
Picture for picture, he went up for the catch. He didn't have a defender on his back, but the way that he landed, kind of with his leg locked out, and you saw it buckle backwards, and it's diagnosed as a total knee dislocation, and that's where you tear at least three out of the four ligaments in your knee.
And it's crazy because he's still not even playing yet.
It's not like a dislocated shoulder where you pop it out, you pop it back in, and you might go right. No, the knee's a little different. So, yeah, the same thing that happened to him where he almost lost his leg, that's, exactly what I was going through.
So what did they do? They rushed you right into surgery right away?
So, not exactly, no, because you kind of had to just figure out what was going on in there. Before they just cut me up and started digging around, they wanted to do an MRI, and they wanted to make sure that that vein or artery hadn't torn. So he got it back into place, and then they put me right in the ambulance, drove me to the hospital, and at that point it was kind of funny. The knee was not all that swollen, but I was still wearing my compression shorts, my girdle, my football pants, and so I think it was restricting the blood flow a little bit. Because as soon as I got to the hospital, they had cut the pants off and stuff so they could do the scan. And within minutes, like 10, 15 minutes afterwards, my knee was like a watermelon. It just had blown up.
Yeah, I think that's the picture that's floating around. I mean, it's all bruised and it's bloody, and it's
on my
like
submission video, and it looks like you could palm it like a basketball.
that is insane. So you're like 18 years old at this point, right? 17, 18 years old?
Yeah. Senior year of high school is 18, I think.
Now, what's going through your mind? Because I mean, you I'm sure you had college plans. Were you going to play college football, or was that just you were going to do track and field?
I think even before the injury, I was kind of set on not doing football, just because school was a big part of what I was doing. I knew I wanted to go for engineering. I was looking for good engineering schools, and with football, I mean, it's a full-time commitment when you get to college. They say student athlete, but most times if you're playing high-level football, it's like be at practice first, worry about classes later. And with football, that was just going to be really tough to do, or with engineering, So I was also a high-level track athlete, and with track, because it's a more individual sport, the practice schedules are often a lot more lenient.
Okay.
So, if you have a big test that night, you can come early and do your 6 200-meter sprints and a couple of run-throughs, and you're done. But you can't come early to a football practice and do your own thing. You have to be there with the team. So part of me was already a little bit set on not playing football. I had still been talking to coaches though, and it was early in my senior year. I hadn't made any final decisions, but after that, it pretty much put the nail in the coffin to not play football again. And there were question marks whether I'd even walk again or run again. So that's a huge part of this injury and the comeback story, and really who I am today was mentally battling through that whole situation. Because, like I said, 3-sport athlete. I had been playing sports my entire life. I started karate when I was like 3 years old at one point. So I've always been doing physical activity. So the fact that might have all been taken away from me just in one play was so much to swallow and really like let sink in. It was tough.
Yeah, and to be 18 years old and then you find yourself laying on a couch for how many months? I mean, it was It had to just be crazy because you can only watch so many reruns of a certain show, and then you got to start going nuts.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got really good at Call of Duty. I did.
I mean, that had to be fun though.
I've talked to a few sports teams actually. There's a team in New Jersey, and I keep blanking on the name of the school. The State Liners. The right near Peaburg, Phillipsburg. I can't remember, but I talked to their basketball team. I've talked to some Whitehall teams, and that's basically my big thing is like take nothing for granted, because I was 18 years old. Like at that time, you're a young kid. Like everything is easy, you know, and you basically, I felt like my life was set. You know, I was getting good grades, going to school, ready to go to college. Everything was there, and then boom, one instant turns everything upside down.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Okay, you might not be able to run again. How are you going to finish your senior year classes if you can't even go to school? You know, I was literally, like you said, stuck on the couch, and I had all the time in the world to just lay there and think about it, and lay there and think about it. Why me? Why this? And you I mean, battle with depression for a long time. And luckily I had a really strong support system. My mom was there for me 100% of the time. She had fortunately been able to retire just a couple of years prior. So she was home taking care of me, washing my hair in the sink. You know, I could barely get up to pee.
Wow.
Pee in a bottle. It was like we could do a whole podcast on just that. The horror stories on what it's like to live at home with an injury like that. It was rough.
Now, I got to ask you, like, after you go through all that, and even to this day, is there still fear in the back of your mind of, like, re-injuring that leg after everything you went through? Like, how long was there fear in your head for that?
That's a good question, and a long time. At this point now, I'm not so much afraid of having that injury, because the way that it happened, I mean, first of all, I also kind of avoid cutting sports anymore. Basketball, football, like, I don't play a lot of pickup basketball now. I was playing for a little while, but the knee would just get so sore so quickly, and it's just almost not worth risking it at this point. Even though I'm still young and like I should be at my peak, physical fitness to be able to be playing these sports. It's just that's part of why I picked Ninja Warrior. You know, it's just upper body intensive. There's some balance obstacles, but not a whole lot of risk in those.
But even in college, though. Even in college, you did like the high jump and everything.
So you nailed it on the head, man. High jump, because the technique to high jump is you basically stick your leg out in front of you, you lock it straight, and you vault off of it, more or less. You know, it's not like a bend your knees and jump. It's you plant that leg in the ground, and with all the speed that you're bringing into it and the angle of your body, it'll propel you up and over the bar. And so the exact position of the injury, my leg locked out straight and stuck out in front of me.
That would scare me. That would scare me.
Oh my God. And the coach is like, that was just a huge mental hurdle to go through. And, I just had to kind of take it slow and like a little bit at a time. And fortunately, high jump was one of my best events in high school. You know, at 5'10", junior in high school, I jumped 6'6".
Oh, wow.
So like that was, definitely one of my stronger events. And I think that made it a little bit easier to mentally come back from, because it did come very naturally to me. So even though I was nervous about injuring the leg, once I built that strength back and I was squatting again and running again, I kind of, it fell back into that normal pattern and that I was able to do. But definitely like just being vulnerable and putting your leg out there like that, I fought with it for a long time.
Even without an injury, how the heck do you get yourself 6 feet in the air over a bar? I mean,
I can't.
I couldn't imagine doing that.
It's a really neat event, and honestly, it's a lot of fun because the technique behind it, the way you arch backwards like that and almost backflip over the bar, It's I don't know. It's just a lot of fun.
It takes
So,
skill, I can tell you that.
It does, and just run like sprints and jumps. I was never much of a distance guy. If you're asking me to run a mile or more, get out of here. That's not what I enjoyed. But jumping, always came naturally to me. I was able to dunk and stuff in high school. So that was just one of my most fun events, I would say.
So how long did it take you, like after everything was said and done and you started rehabbing, how long did it take you before you actually got to the point where you could go to college and do those events and you felt comfortable? Because like Ty asked you, shit about the concerns of your knee giving out again.
Mm-hmm.
When did you know, and how long did it take for you to get there?
It was just a long, slow process, and it was kind of one step at a time, and that's what my doctor said it was going to be. When he goes, Logan, like, I think you're going to be able to run and walk and jump again, but it's just going to be slow, one step at a time. And there's going to be hiccups and hurdles along the way. So I can't remember exactly how many months it was until I was able to run again. But I do remember when I went to that doctor visit, he analyzed me. I had been doing therapy for months now. And he goes, you know what, I think you're ready to start running and open it up. I came home and literally just ran out into the middle of the street and started running up and down the block. And it was like I had never moved like that in months. And going from, like I said, running around my whole life ever since I was a kid, that was like I felt like a little kid again, running for my first time. So that was neat. But I would say it was close to 2 years before I was even cleared to compete again.
2 years.
So it was
2 years of a lot of frustration, or no?
Oh my God, yeah. And then not even that. Like that was just to allow me to compete. So fall of senior year of high school, I got injured, and it wasn't until spring of freshman year at college, like a year and 3 quarters, basically, that I was able to compete again.
Wow.
I went out. The girls jumped farther than I did in long jump. I fell in the hurdles, and I didn't even clear 6 foot in the high jump, where my PR previously had been 6'6". So it was like one of the most bittersweet experiences because, like I said, I was so happy and fortunate to have been running again and like being able to compete, but I was just so far away from where I used to be that it was like kind of again just crushing to be like, man, am I ever going to get it back?
So after all this happens, American Ninja Warrior, why that? Like, what got you involved in that?
Yeah, you went from like college track and field into like being a warrior, man.
Well, so like I actually did the decathlon in college for a while, so I was always kind of a jack of all trades, and I had a pretty strong upper body from doing a lot of those things. So when I graduated, I knew that I was going to want to compete in something. I've been doing sports my whole life. I love just competition in general, and I'm like, I gotta do something. So I've seen it on TV before. I knew that it looked fun, and I knew that they love a good story. They love the comeback story. This a single mom out here training. And so I'm like, okay, well, I got this big comeback story. I think that they'll love. The Ninja Warrior in general, it's like you've seen it. It's very upper body focused, and
absolutely.
Other than the balance obstacles, it's pretty much all upper body. So I'm like, okay, this is something I might be able to compete in, not strain my knee so much on, maybe be able to compete for a long time at it. And so I trained for basically about a year after I graduated, and then tried to put this video together and go for it. And like I said, luckily I was fortunate enough to get the call back.
And that's got to be an awesome feeling to get that call back, knowing that you're going to be on American Ninja Warrior.
It was unbelievable, and it was super frustrating. So I was coming home from work on the subways here in New York City, and I see a call from a number I didn't recognize, but your phone, basically gives you the area code, and it said something in California, and I'm like, California number? Oh my gosh, is this? And I knew that the competition was about a month out. And I'm like, maybe this is him. I thought they would have called me way before. So I'm like, maybe I didn't get the call now. So here it is. I try to answer, and the subway service, when I'm going under, I lost service.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm hurrying. I run off the subway. I run over. I'm trying to call the number back now, and it doesn't answer. And it just keeps ringing. I'm like, oh my God. So I hang up. I'm calling my girlfriend. I'm like, I think I just got the call. I can't get a hold of this guy. And lo and behold, then he starts calling me again, and I answer, and he just says, "Hey, this is Peter with American Ninja Warrior."
Oh, man.
And then he had me going for a little while, but then he congratulated me, said, "You're going to compete," and it was in Philly that year.
That's
All
awesome.
right, so this is a
That's awesome.
two-part question. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when did you start training strictly for the American Ninja, and how does that work before you actually get onto the TV program? Is there like you have to go through like so many different like I don't want to say competitions with other people first? Are you automatically picked to go onto the TV?
Right. So the first part of the question is, right when I graduated, going from football and track, I had the only really training I ever knew how to do was squat, bench, power clean, some pull-ups. But it was all very like powerlifting oriented because you always want to have strong legs, strong body for those events. But for Ninja Warrior, it's like, I don't need to squat 300, 400 pounds. I don't need to bench, I don't need to have all these high lifts.
Yeah.
I just need, it's more body weight strength. And so that really got me started. And I'm basically looking up YouTube videos of, how to master body weight strength, how to do a handstand, how to do this. And it got me into like this advanced calisthenics stuff. And there's all these kind of moves. If you've seen my Instagram or anything, you see me doing, these crazy pull-ups and muscle-ups and
crazy workouts.
Yeah, the human flag, all that stuff. And I'm like, well, that's the kind of stuff I need to be training, because if I could hold myself sideways, then I could easily swing across something on the course. And so it was a few months actually after I graduated before I really started training Ninja Warrior style, if you will, body weight stuff. And now it's going on about a year and a half. It's 2 years of just training like that. So then, as I was training, I started putting together the submission video, and that's the first step in getting selected. And so they do regional competitions. There's a lot of steps in the whole thing. It's a little complicated, but it's not that bad once you kind of understand how they laid it out. So they do the regional competitions. They do a Midwest, a Northeast, Southeast every year, and there's 6 cities, and 100 people per city will run the course.
Wow.
But to be one of those 100 in your city, you have to submit this video. It's a 2 to 3 minute video, and actually a pretty long application that often gets forgotten about when people discuss it. But the application took me like 4 hours to fill out.
Oh my gosh.
Like, super thorough. They want to know everything, man. They want to know what or what sports teams have you competed in? What years did you do that? What awards have you won? Tell us something about you that we wouldn't know about you. But tell us something unique about this. Like, what is your hometown like? What is because it's a show, They want to get somebody with an interesting story and personality. So you fill out this application, you submit your video, and then they say, "Thanks for submitting. Maybe you'll hear from us soon."
Wow.
And then you wait, and the application is due basically on January 1st. It's due at the start of the year, and you hear back about a month before your city competes. So I'm like online constantly saying, okay, when is the Northeast Regional going to go? When is the North? And last year it was in Philly. This year it was in Baltimore. And they'll tell you the taping date, and they say, okay, it's May 25th. So a month before that, I'm sitting at my phone just waiting for the call. And so Philly, I got the call last year about only 3 weeks out from competition. And it's tough because you have to just basically train and assume that you're going to be on the show that entire time, because 3 weeks is not enough to prepare for a competition like that.
I would need like 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. So you just train, and then if you get the call back and you're one of those 100, you're guaranteed a spot on the show. And that's what a lot of people think, oh, like when's the tryouts or when's the qualifiers? There's really no pre-qualifying thing at all. It's all in your video. It's all in what you show them. And then you get to come out and run the course. Now, that doesn't guarantee you a spot on TV, but that guarantees you a chance to compete out there.
So what was it like? What was it like the first time you actually got to see the course?
It was unreal, man. It's really, really, it's hard to even describe. But because I'll say, I competed in big Friday night football games. I competed in big basketball games, and where you're on the court and everybody's watching you. But for this, it's, on those sports, you're with a team. There's a lot going on. There's people at the stand. There's people doing this. When you're a Ninja Warrior, nobody's over at the snacks. There is no snack stand, first of all, but like everybody is watching the course at all times. Eyes are on you, and they do it overnight too. They film it, starting at like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. whenever it gets dark, and they go through all through the night, 4, 5, 6 in the morning if they need to get everyone. And so it's dark out. All the lights are on you. You step up to the stage, and everyone is sitting there like, in anticipation. And so it's just the pressure's on, man. And like you feel like you're ready to compete. You did all the preparation, but just in the heat of the moment, you're up on top of that course. Like the starting platform is like 6 to 8 feet in the air.
Wow.
So, and then you see the obstacles that they go to are, 10, 15 feet above that. So everything, it's just as big as you can imagine it. And it was a lot of fun, though. Really a lot of fun.
And I was going to ask, like, it's not like a basketball game where you have teammates or football where you have teammates. Like,
right.
For American Ninja Warrior, you're by yourself and everyone's watching you, like TV, like the fans there. Like, that's got to be nerve-wracking.
It was a pressure like I had never experienced.
Well,
and maybe boxers or tennis, like those individual sports where it's just kind of you and maybe another person up there. But not even that, because even then you're still focused on your opponent across from you. It's like you're focused on the course
and not messing up.
There's only one person that everybody else is watching. So you're not just competing, you're performing. And they tell you, they're like, get up there, show us some energy, get the crowd involved. So you got to go up there and try to put on a show for these people. And like you're like, I just want to focus on the course
and also succeed at the same time.
Yeah. No, so it was super interesting, tough to the first year as a rookie. It's like you're trying to soak it all in but stay focused at the same time, and it's super challenging. I would say it's almost impossible for a rookie to win it all.
Yeah, wasn't there only 2 guys that ever competed the whole thing?
Yeah, actually that's you're right. In season 7, so because after you do the city qualifiers and city finals, like all the regional ones, like I said, top 15 from each region go on to Vegas, and that's the national finals. And that's what they pay for your flight out there. They put you up in a hotel. You're doing interviews for like 3-4 days, and taking pictures and stuff. And then there's 4 stages in Vegas, and it's the final stage is called Mount Midoriyama or whatever. Only 2 people have ever completed the course, and it so happened to be in the same year.
Oh wow!
And one guy was like a half a second faster than the other, and so that guy won the $1 million. The runner-up got nothing.
Wow.
So it's like how crazy is that he's one of the only 2 people to complete the course, and he technically didn't even win that year.
That is insane.
That's great.
Was there any part of the course that you were like looking at like, man, I don't know, that just seems a little too difficult to even attempt?
Really, my first year, really everything. It's like you stand up to it, and so there was the obstacle, the Wingnuts. If you've seen it, it's kind of this side-to-side swinging obstacle, and you need to swing from one of them to the next. But you're going left to right. You're not, you're not swinging back and forth. So it's very just tricky how to orient your body and that aerial awareness of like, how do I control myself in the air to go over that way? And that was really the first time I even tried that obstacle, because especially in New York City, where do you train for these things? Like how do you build on it? Like some people are fortunate enough to build them in their yards or work at a ninja gym where they can build them themselves and train on them. But I don't have a lot of that.
Well,
and
dude,
I work a full-time job. So
I seen your videos, man. You're like Spider-Man. You can just do what you want, man. I gotta tell you, that one video I saw of you were like on that plexiglass thing going from one to another.
Well, yeah.
Well, we went to, my grandson had a Sky Zone, and I thought, screw it, I'll try it. I did the junior one, that was no big deal. I went to the next one, it was all right. And then I got to that last one, I looked around, people were watching, I said, it's not worth it.
You're gonna wipe out.
Yeah, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to get on that thing and hold myself up and then jump to the other one.
I gotta ask real quick, like, do they let you trade on those obstacle courses before you guys like actually do your real run, or is it just like a surprise?
Question. No, they do not.
No practice runs at all.
No practice runs. No practice.
So it could be like a shock to like what you're gonna actually be running on. Like you just could walk up there.
Absolutely. And what they do, and that's another thing. Some of the veterans will get kind of some insider info occasionally. But as a rookie, especially, I'm like, I had no idea what to expect. I don't, this is the first time I'm seeing everything here. So, what they will do though is they do a walkthrough ahead of time. So all the competitors, all 100 people, come together and they walk through every obstacle, and they actually have a tester demonstrate it for you.
I was going to ask that. I was going to say, how do you know how to use it?
They have one person demo the obstacle on how it's supposed to be completed, and they give you an opportunity to ask any questions. And, that for legal reasons, I guess it's a good thing. It's a competition. There's money on the line. They want everyone to be clear on this is what you can touch. This is what you can't touch.
Yeah.
This is where you're supposed to, get on and off. And so you do see that. You do see the full course completed, each obstacle. But as far as you getting on there and giving it a try ahead of time, no, they don't allow that.
All right, so you keep saying as a rookie. What happens if you go far enough? Like, do you qualify to another season?
No, and that's the other thing. It's like, and I was talking to one of the guys, Drew Dreschel. I trained at his gym in Connecticut one time. He's been like a 7 or 8 time veteran, final finisher, really good. And he goes, this is just one of the most frustrating sports because you could train all year long for it, and then right in the beginning, slip on something, a bounce obstacle or whatever, that just make one slip, fall in the water, and you're done. And they say, okay, see you next year, maybe.
Oh,
because every single year you have to submit a video and you have to reapply.
That sucks.
Because they want you to stay involved, and they don't want you to get lazy, and like they want the community to build. They want you to be enthusiastic. They want you to, in your off season, go around and do different ninja competitions and what. So your next video for next year needs to be, okay, what have you done since last year? What's new? We're not going to retell your same story. So show us what you've done now. And so that's the other tough thing. And so this year, when I submitted that video, I felt like, okay, they gave me a good 5-minute segment on TV last year. They liked me. I did well. I was hoping I'd get a call back, but they don't know. So again, I have to submit the application, and you wait until a month out from competition before they call you. Go ahead.
What was the name of that part that you were close to the end, but you fell off of?
It's the Double Dipper, isn't it?
The Double Dipper is the one I went down in Vegas, and the Lightning Bolts are the one I went down in Philly. And both of them, it's funny. It's definitely the weakest point of my ninja training. Like, I could do as many pull-ups as you could ask me to do. Basically, the grip strength is there. I've been doing a lot of rock climbing, but what I find challenging is lacheying, is what they call it. Like when you swing from one thing to the next with a free bar. So if you know the obstacle, the salmon ladder, where it's like a pull-up bar, but it's not connected to anything, and you gotta like jump up with the bar on the rungs.
Yeah,
it's that type of obstacle that I struggle on. So the Lightning Bolts was like that, but instead of just going up rungs, you kind of had to go forward on this like seesaw type obstacle.
Wow.
And then the Double Dipper.
That was insane. That's like a ski slope
again, and you're right. You let go of one bar and you try to grab onto the next. And that's something that at every ninja gym, if you go to or you train at, they have that there. They got bar hop obstacles, salmon ladder, but I don't train at a ninja gym very often.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those like skills that, I really do need to practice more. And going into next year, I think I'm going to continue to try. But there's just not a lot of stuff local here and easy for me to do. So.
Well, how far, if you would have got past that part, how far were you to the ending, and do you think you would have made it the rest of the way?
Well, honestly, rookie year last year, I don't know. So if once I passed the Lightning Bolts, it was the warped wall, and definitely the warped wall. I think I would have been able to do. Even as a rookie, I had practiced that several times, and being a former high jumper, and I feel like okay, I should be able to run right up this thing. And then there's back half of the course when on the finals, and there was I think 3 obstacles after that. And then that like spider climb between the 2 glass walls, like you were saying. And so all of those after the fact, very upper body intensive, very challenging, and it was all new to me. So even had I gotten past that obstacle, I'll tell you, I don't know that I was super confident I'd have finished the course, but it would have been cool to beat that wall, to at least have gotten that far.
Absolutely.
Now, do you plan on continuing with Ninja Warrior for a couple of years after this?
I think so, man. It was, after the first year I did it, I really actually had some doubts about like, man, do I want to do all that again next year? Because like I said, it happens, the competition happens overnight, and I got to take time off work and I got to drive out there. Like, in the city qualifiers, it's your responsibility to travel out there.
Yeah.
Come Vegas, if you make it that far, then they'll provide the travel arrangements. But you got to take time off. It takes a lot of time to train for, and it's physically exhausting. You got to constantly be involved and posting about it, and it's a big thing. But this year, I'm like, I knew I was going to do it at least twice. This year going into it, the mindset was totally different. I knew what to expect, the overnight competition. I knew that I had gotten as far as I did as a rookie last year, not knowing anything. So this year, I designed the training a little bit more towards what these obstacles I expected to see. And my confidence going out on the course was just way different. So knowing that it was that much better this year, I'm absolutely going to go for it next year. And it's fun, man. Like I said, you saw me riding in the parade and all the kids. Oh my God, you're really on Ninja Warrior. And for me, it all started as, what can I do after college that's fun and competitive? And now it's become, a part of me that's somehow, or that's how some people only know me, through Ninja Warrior. They've seen me in the newspaper or whatever. And it's really neat to inspire kids and share that in the story.
Well, you have a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story.
I have to ask you, do if you win the championship and you win the money, do you get an automatic invite back?
No, but still no. You still got to do your video. 8-9 years, I think they still always expect you to submit the video. But
wow.
The weatherman, Joe Moravsky, he's been doing it 8 or 9 seasons. He's the camera loves him, well known. They're not going to not call Joe back.
Yeah.
He's got no question that he's coming back next year. So here's the one benefit they do give to the returners or veterans, I guess, as you call anybody but rookies. They watch your submission video first. So out of the 60
nice.
or 70,000 people that apply, they say, okay, which one are returners? Let's watch their videos first. Are these guys still involved? Are they interested?
That's
okay,
cool.
Yes. And then they'll do that. But that's, if you submit a crap video, then who knows? You might not get on. But as long as you're showing that you're still involved, and they liked you, and you gave them a pretty good show, and you didn't just fall on the first obstacle every time you were there, then you got a pretty good chance of getting called back.
Now, has anyone ever offered, come out and, do a lifetime story about you or anything? Write a book, anything? I mean,
no,
seriously, your story is that amazing.
I thank you. I do appreciate that. And if you told my mom, man, she, goes gung-ho about all that stuff. But no, honestly, what I have been doing, though, because at some point, it is pretty incredible, the experiences I've been going through. And I try to write as many things down as I can. And my mom suggested it too at the time. She's like, after you went through that injury, when you were laying on the couch, write those memories down. Write the fact that you had to bring a stool into the bathroom to sit on the toilet because you couldn't bend your knee. You had to 4 months without going to school. Teachers came to my house to help teach me classes because I wouldn't be able to go in. I was teaching myself the homework on the couch. I was doing a calculus class at Lehigh, and it was in the only building that didn't have an elevator.
Oh my
and
God.
it was on the 4th floor discussion room, and I had to hike up those stairs 1 foot at a time for weeks on end. And all these little things that were really challenging, but are part of what made me who I am today. Being able to overcome all that at 18 years old really made me mature. Very quickly. Grow up. You learn what's important in life. And it is some cool, stories and cool insight that I hope to teach anybody who'd want to learn.
It's awesome.
And
It's
inspire
awesome.
anyone who needs a little bit of it.
Now, I know you're an engineer in New York, and believe me, I see your Instagram. I try not to focus on the workout ones because it's embarrassing because I couldn't do any of that stuff. I'm 45, I have 2 bad shoulders, and I'm just old and lazy. But, do you ever... you have a great job. Did you ever think about being a professional workout artist, or you go and you train people? And
there's a kid who trains in Whitehall there. His name's Tyler Marks, and he owns a gym called Matrix Performance. And my mom actually trains there. He's a friend of mine that I go back. Saquon Barkley has trained there before, a couple times actually. And he has this huge facility. And we've talked about, if and when I move back to Pennsylvania from the city, opening up a gym there and building out some ninja obstacles and kind of co-running that operation there. And it does sound like an awesome thing. And I, who knows, I still might do it. But I also went to an Ivy League school and got an engineering degree. And the other part of me loves that, the problem solving, the physics end of it, managing people and owning a business or something one day. That all is very appealing to me too. And something I learned, quickly from that injury is that, physical abilities, like you said, you're 45, two bad shoulders, they don't last forever. But you work smarter, not harder, for a much longer time. So getting a job with a stable 401k and, and earning a lot of, good money, it's definitely the more stable career path to sit on. But the enjoyment of running a gym and teaching kids and helping people better their lives, that brings a whole different aspect that is also appealing. So it's those are the two avenues that you got to choose from. And right now I'm sitting in a construction in one, but I'm thinking about it.
Well, I think you should be a trainer for the stars. I mean, making six figures doing that. Going to Kim Kardashian's house.
All the stuff that I train now, I'm making a little calisthenics body weight Bible. Everything that I learn, everything that I train and do, and all the progressions that I've done, I'm writing down, and I'm helping my dad. He's had some rough posture, like hunching over, and I'm giving him all these different stretches and exercises to help correct all that. So. Who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do with all this information, but I'm writing it all down and keeping it so that when the opportunity comes or I figure out what I want to do, or whether it's write a book or host a class or own a gym or do whatever, at least I'll be prepared for it.
If you ever want to send some of that information over our way, I'll happily train.
Not a problem, man. I'll send you my Bible. What I got so far.
I hunch a little bit. I could use a little muscle build.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. That means you got to do more back exercises than chest exercises. So more rows, more pull-ups, and less push-ups.
Absolutely, man. I'll take all the advice I can get.
Well, I gotta do more than my one setup I do in the morning when I wake up, getting out of bed. Yeah. But seriously, you have a great story, and do you ever think about reaching out to the injured athletes and just being a mentor to them and letting them know your story, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel?
You know what? Honestly, it's funny you ask. I've done that, I think, maybe twice now. There was one basketball player, Kevin Ware, if you remember his injury.
Yes. Oh, my God, yes.
It was a full fracture in his shin, an ugly injury. And it was around the same time that I was coming back from my injury. I had just competed in track for the first time. And I can only imagine, what he was going through. And I'm like, man, I've been there. I've seen it. And so I actually sent him a message on Facebook and was like, yo, dude, and I attached a few pictures. I'm like, here's where I was a couple months ago, and here's where I am now. If you ever need some inspiration or somebody to talk to about how to get through that injury, let me know. He never wrote back, but it was nice that I tried. And there's been other people who, especially after my show aired on TV, were sending me messages on Facebook and Instagram and say, hey, I just watched your show air, my nephew just had a similar injury, or I just had a similar injury, and I can't seem to get back this range of motion, or I can't seem to walk confidently on that same leg again. What did you do to get to where you are? And I tried to take enough time and write some thoughtful responses to all of them, because you never know what you say to someone, how much that's going to mean and help them out and change their life. So
absolutely.
Well, how I got to ask you an off the beat question here. How is it, Logan, working in skyscrapers in New York City, being up that high when it has to be insane? Because
I'm afraid of heights, so I can only imagine.
Yeah. Okay. So then you would not do so well out here. It's hectic. I'll tell you that right now. Growing up, and I was, like you said, born and raised Whitehall, Pennsylvania. I loved it out there. I love the green. I love the space. I love riding my bike on the trail with my friends growing up. It's just the environment of a Friday night football game, the community that you have there. There's so many positive things about living in that area. And you come to New York, and there is stuff that you can get here and see here and experience here that you can't possibly do in a small town like Whitehall, Pennsylvania. So it does offer a lot like that. And working on these skyscrapers it's life-changing, man. I'm changing the New York City skyline. For every movie you see from now on, every picture of New York that gets posted on a poster, I'm going to have, been a part of that.
That's awesome to think about.
Built one of the tallest buildings. So, being able to do all that, and in my early 20s or mid-20s, I guess now, I'm glad I'm doing it now, because there's going to be a point where I'm like, I can't, hack it in the city anymore. It's exhausting, and some people do it forever, but I don't think I'm one of those people. So I'm enjoying it now. It's high risk stuff. It's high stress stuff. But as you know, you mature, you learn a lot, and hopefully I'll take all the experience I'm getting here and be able to go back to a Whitehall, Pennsylvania, and say, hey, here's what I did in New York. I was successful doing it, and please hire me.
Now, since you're in New York now, do you follow any of those New York athletes like Saquon? Are you a Giants fan? Are you a Yankees fan? A Mets fan?
Not really. No, I'm a diehard Steelers fan. I don't care where I'm living. I'm not going to just team hop. But I do know Saquon personally. Actually, he took my football number the year after I graduated.
That's awesome.
He was a freshman when I was a senior, so we didn't overlap on the same varsity team. But when I would come back to Whitehall, he was running track his senior year, and I actually helped train him in a few different events.
That's awesome.
And high jump and stuff. So, and I've seen him at Matrix when I've gone before. So I definitely follow his story. I love watching him. He is hands down, I think, the best football player I've ever witnessed, like in my lifetime. Like just watching him, I'm sure you can agree, he's electric out there.
Oh God, yeah.
He's definitely fun to watch. That being said, I'm not going to become a Giants fan for him.
No, never. Yeah. I couldn't cross that boundary either. I'm actually thinking about getting a Cowboys jersey and putting Barkley on the back.
Yeah, that would be funny. My girlfriend, she doesn't follow sports that closely, or at least football anyway. So my mom, she was trying to pick a favorite sports team. She's like, oh, I'm from New York, from Long Island. So they got her a Barkley jersey. They're like, if you're going to be a Giants fan, at least you have his jersey. So we do have a Saquon Barkley jersey in the house.
That's cool. That is really cool.
All right. We appreciate the time you gave us today, man. It's an incredible story you have.
No problem, man. I'm glad you reached out, and then, like I said, I'm writing all this stuff down. And I remember as much as I can, and I like to share it with as many people as I can. So, anybody you can help and make a positive impact on from these stories, I'm glad for the opportunity.
No, one last question before we let you go. Do you pay attention to any of those other shows? Like I know The Rock had one of those competitions out like that.
Yeah,
and Stone Cold had one and all that.
Yeah, what's LeBron James is doing one
now,
the $1 Million Mile, I think it's called. I've looked at a few of them, and I think the Titan Games is also an NBC show, like Ninja Warriors NBC. Titan Games is also. So first of all, I don't know if there's any rules that if you can or cannot do another one. Titan Games, though, I've debated because
that one looks tough.
It's a little bit more strength oriented,
Yeah.
And for Ninja Warrior, you could be 150 pounds, a light guy, but great at body weight strength, and succeed. And actually, those people tend to do very well. I'm 180, 185 pounds, 6 foot, so I'm on the heavier side for these ninjas. But the Titan Games, those guys were definitely all bulkier, stronger. You had to push heavy weights and do this. So I don't know. It might be something that I could succeed in. I haven't really applied or given it much serious thought because I'm enjoying doing the ninja thing for now.
Yeah.
So if I ever get tired of it, maybe I'll look down one of those shows.
Well, Logan, we're big fans now, and we're gonna keep an eye on the TV. And if you don't mind, we'll hit you up again 1st. To come back on.
July 1st is when it's gonna air. So and if you ever want me back on, man, I'd be happy.
Absolutely,
to
man.
talk.
All right, man. It's been a pleasure, and we thank you for sharing your story. And we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Logan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, that was Logan Kreglow, American Ninja Warrior. He's on the new season. It doesn't air until July 1st.
Such an amazing story. I mean, I love stories like that. Where people are just, you're at your lowest, and to be 18 years old and you're looking at your leg and it's not the way it's supposed to be.
Possibly could lose it.
And what's going through your mind, and then to turn it around. And I'm telling you, go on Instagram, look him up, and go on YouTube or just type in Logan Kreglow interview, and you'll see his video for going on there. It's insane. This guy has such upper body strength. He does this one thing where he looks like he's walking up. It's weird. It's like he's walking in the air.
It's crazy how easily he makes it a pull-up look.
He makes it look so easy.
I know.
It's not 2 fingers, and he does pull-ups. Insane.
I was freaking out because when we were closing it out, there was a huge spider right next to me, and I was freaking out.
God bless to him though. That's an amazing story, and I'd love to have him back on again and talk about more of this stuff, because he's got a great story and he's got a great future ahead of him. No matter what he does, staying in engineering, he could write a book. He could be a trainer. It's great. It's great for him.
It was a pleasure doing this podcast today, guys. We love doing this podcast, but
this one's going to end after this, but we do have another guy coming on Friday. We're supposed to do a double dip tonight, but I'm glad we
double
did
dip.
it, because that was going to be a long podcast tonight. But
we're in touch with a lot of athletes right now. It's just a matter of getting on their schedule. A lot of the guys were just signed by a team, so there's a lot of business going down. So it's a matter of getting on their schedule.
Yeah, that guy we had supposed to have on last night, he reached out to Ty today, and he's just really busy this week. And when you get signed by an NFL team, things are going on. So I got
the itch right now because I keep feeling like a spider's on me. But don't forget to look at our platforms, guys. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Music, YouTube. Those are multiple options you can do to watch our podcast. We have an Instagram, Everything Goes, Facebook page, Twitter. They're all going to be in the description.
Share and subscribe.
Izzy on the beat again, man. He gives us a sick beat every single week. But we enjoy you guys listening to our podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.